Honoka Takamiya is an average high school student. He's known as a weakling with no special abilities who lives a mundane existence. As he contemplates another lifeless school morning, the girls on the bus start cheering and clustering around the front. This is due to Ayaka Kagari, the most popular girl. Ayaka is larger than other girls her age and has an expressionless face. Takamiya is annoyed, not by the girl in question, but by the fangirls who crowd whatever bus she is on, as this is a common occurrence. Despite her wealth and status as the chairman's daughter, the girl takes the bus to school. He has nothing personal against the Ayaka, but he can't help but wonder why their seats are so close together. They've never spoken to each other before. Takamiya accidentally knocks the eraser off his desk, and when he reaches for it, a hand grabs it faster. It's Ayaka, the Academy's princess. The girl regards the event as regular and does not say anything to him. Her fan club, however, takes him behind the school and beats him severely. 5 females surround him, accusing him of having Ayaka pick up his eraser and President Obama kick his buttocks while speaking in English. They tell him not to look at the girl. Takamiya is then tasked with handing out papers to the class. A female creeps up on the lad and then grabs all of his documents. Then he walks away, back to Ayaka's side, without recognizing Takamiya. A highly enthusiastic girl stands in front of Ayaka and reads a lengthy description of breakfast to her, but Ayaka ignores her. Takamiya is cleaning the classroom after class, and when he takes out the trash, he spots something moving out of the trash can. Curious at the abrupt movement, he drops the garbage and picks up the object. It turns out to be a plush toy rabbit with a wicked smile. He examines the stitching and is perplexed by the strange phrase written on the bunny. It tells him that today's weather is the school building collapsing. As he considers what this may be, he looks up and notices a fallen building falling squarely on top of him. The youngster can only panic because he believes he is about to die. The anguish never arrives because he stops his eyes from seeing his own death. He smells a pleasant aroma close and turns to find Ayaka Kagari, dressed in a white robe with a crimson outer hue and a huge wizard hat. The girl is able to balance the two of them on her broom, elevating them over the collision site. When he gets close to her face, she turns to see 2 robotic rabbit barbarians. Takamiya is then launched further higher into the air, allowing Ayaka to evade the mechanical foe's assaults. She can summon fire from her palms, destroying her opponents quickly. She then uses her 2 pillows to soften Takamiya's fall. The barbarian rabbits get back up and charge at them. The 3 figures begin a sequence of sword attacks, but Ayaka is able to stop them with her broom. She can create distance between the rabbit barbarians by firing beautiful bursts of fire, driving them back. However, the rabbits rise anew, having learned to adapt to the conflict. Takamiya hears a voice in the alley calling him. When Ayaka eventually manages to burn the robots to a char, she notices Takamiya is gone. Takamiya sweats as he frantically scans the passageway for more than 20 rabbit barbarian troops. The rabbits force him to bend his knee, as one injured rabbit aims a sharp axe at his face. They force him to kneel, forcing his head to face the ground as the axe is held to his throat. Takamiya wonders whether this is how he will die. As the guard prepares to terminate his life, he recounts the previous events that lead up to it. As he prepares to face his doom, the army of rabbits bursts into flames. Amidst the flames, Ayaka scolds Takamiya and orders him to stay by her side. Takamiya struggled to realize that this was not a dream. Ayaka informs the youngster that this was her assignment, since you promised to protect him. She grabs her and brings his face closer to hers, telling him it is because he is her princess. Takamiya feels perplexed at being addressed as a princess. But this thinking is cut short when he discovers that a portion of her hair is on fire, and he assumes it is all his fault. In a solemn yet resolute tone, he asks why she spared him. The girl tells him again that it's because he's her princess, but she doesn't give an explanation. Takamiya becomes enraged and demands for her to explain why. Ayaka is curious as to whether the boy is upset with her. Though he isn't very upset with Ayaka, Takamiya looks down because he doesn't understand why such a perfect girl would put her life in danger for a classmate. Shouting that her hair caught fire is something he considers a miracle that should not be overlooked. Takamiya finds it hard to comprehend his words, as the girl must now perceive him as a strange man who is obsessed with hair. While he's thinking indecent things, he sees one of the bunnies moving. It charges forward, poised to swing its mace at Ayaka. In an attempt to shield the girl, Takamiya dodges it, but the strike causes him to fall to the side, while the girl studies him cautiously at first. Now that she has declared that not a single one of them will remain, Ayaka chastises herself for not reducing them into dust. The two are unharmed by the flames that envelop Ayaka's corpse. A flame pours like a water hose, powered by a million clovers coming from all directions. In the alley, the one who duped Takamiya observes the display of strength, realizing that this is all she can do for today. Takamiya is healing in Ayaka's private room, and as soon as he wakes up, he begins to interrogate her. He notices that the girl's look remains consistent with her witch image. Ayaka puts an end to his questions, but confesses that she has been keeping him hidden all along. Takamiya doesn't understand what's going on. As they go home together, Ayaka names Takamiya her master. The following morning appears to be another uneventful school day. But to everyone's surprise, the supposedly flawless girl chooses to sit next to him. The girl glares at him, refusing to accept his choice. The formerly serene mood in the classroom has been shattered by the two, who make the rest of the students appear dismal. Ayaka realizes something is amiss with him, which makes her concerned. Takamiya dismisses the situation and departs, claiming to have a stomach ailment. As soon as he goes, a bunch of females rush to her, weeping over how close she has become to the school's loser. Meanwhile, Takamiya is thrown against the wall by Ayaka's fan club. As the gang prepares to abuse him, Ayaka seems to be Takamiya, and class is ready to begin. She proceeds to repair his collar and warns him that if someone harms him, he should alert her, and as her countenance darkens, she pledges to burn them to ashes. Takamiya is sweating bullets over lunch since all of the females are staring at him, ruining the ambiance. One girl says that she can't look at this ugly, and the floodgates open as everyone expresses their distaste. Ayaka ignores their screams because she wants to give Takamiya an elaborate wiener. Takamiya notices the glances around him and wishes to go have lunch in the classroom, attempting to persuade the girl that all of her bodyguards had to make an appointment to eat with her, and he feels horrible for bypassing the queue. Ayaka decides that she may choose who she wants to eat with and advises him not to be selfish. Heeding this confuses him, but applying this reasoning, he determines that he can choose who he wants to have lunch with and excuses himself. Ayaka is ticked off by this and burns all the girls' lunches as compensation. He believes he was a little harsh with the girl, as she had no ill intent against him to realize where he was. This is the location of the wrecked school building, and it appears as if nothing occurred. A girl drinking a juice box claims it's due to illusionary magic. A girl with cat-like features, slitted eyes, and a bell around her neck claims she wanted to see if he was uninjured. Kureishi Tanpopo, the witch of the tower, declares her intention to take him today. As she folded her wings over him, they erupted in flames, and Ayaka emerged. With a flip of her fingers, she commands an army of bunny warriors to surround them. She says that the past time was a fluke, and that this time her entire army would be deployed. Bunnies of all forms and sizes may carry a range of weaponry. Takamiya's eyesight fades as they approach, and when he awakens, he is surrounded by fallen weapons and blood. Looking up, the damsel he admires is pierced with several weapons. The youngster shouts, wondering why this female would go to such effort for him. Thinking about those eyes of her, he feels that he's been running away from her all this time. Hearing his cohesion, she now assumes that the boy won't run away from her at lunch. Takamiya doesn't think it's time to think about that, as the girl needs to get to the hospital. She tells him not to worry, as her body is made out of flames, now telling Takamiya to close his eyes. Outside, the witch likes the effort of her troops, but they forget to leave room for each other, as they had no coordination. Soon, the bunnies develop personalities of their own, with some battling each other rather than the adversary. An explosion erupts, pushing her against the wall as troops fall into her. Ayaka crawls out of the rubble, carrying Takamiya. The girl is appalled by this vision and cries for option B, which is to make a smart retreat. When Takamiya opens his eyes and the two walk home, he realizes that girls are frightening. The next day at school, the teacher announces that they have new transfer students in class. The first girl Takamiya recognizes from yesterday is Kuraishi, the cat girl. The quiet type, Kazari Rin, the studious Katsura Kotetsu, a girl with animal fur and eye patch Minowame, and Utsugi Kana, who's already annoyed, with them all being witches. Takamiya describes the recent occurrences involving the school's princess. The beauty with a good body and a smart mind is a witch, who has somehow been engaged with the girl. He's left off by the bus, wondering where Ayaka is because he can't imagine the girl falling asleep. When he unlocks the class door, he discovers 4 of the so-called witches bound and chained to a pole in a blazing classroom. Takamiya has no idea what to make of this sight, with Ayaka greeting him casually as if it were any other morning. Takamiya steps back, staring at the schoolroom plate. He knows this is his class and wonders whether he strayed here by accident. Ayaka reveals that she cast a spell on his unconscious body to compel him to come here. As she burns the witches who have injured him, he is tormented by them. In a flashback, Takamiya and Ayaka are going home when Takamiya discloses that the incoming transfer students are making him nervous about his safety. Hearing this, Ayaka warns him to stay away. Hearing this makes him sweat because he is partially responsible for the error. Ayaka admits that she wanted to walk to school with him, but this matter took longer than she expected. One of the girls named May escaped from her, and she figured the girl would come back to save them if she tortured them. Takamiya notices that the girl from the other girl is the most agitated, making a lot of noise. She tells Ayaka to release the gag, as she seems to want to say something. The girl is mad as they are just trying to enjoy a peaceful school. So she turns to Takamiya, telling the boy to properly train the girl so she doesn't attack them. Takamiya pictures this and refuses. Assuming that Ayaka is his woman, the boy blushes, refuting the claim as she's just a classmate. Ayaka wishes to burn her again but is stopped. Takamiya decides to ask Kat Chan why he's being hunted. Seeing he doesn't realize it yet, she says they are here for his body, as they want that white stuff in his body. One of the girls is annoyed, as if she says it like that, the boy will get the wrong idea. And Takamiya indeed starts to think this might be a different type of anime. But he's brought out of these thoughts as the girl warns him not to let his guard down so easily, as there's still one girl missing. A black sticky substance starts to rain from the ceiling. The rain-like substance turns to the size of baseballs, as the girl in question appears upside down from the ceiling. She's able to grab the boy. Ayaka immediately reacts with a fireball, but it's shielded as the ink turns as hard as metal, blocking her. Then it turns as sharp as a knife, cutting down the bindings of her companions. She turns to her group, saying she's leaving the girl to them, as May and Takamiya escape. May laughs, as this will give her enough time to take the injured Takamiya back home. The wall separating them begins to crack, catching her off guard. In the next second, she's blown away as a pissed-off witch of flames stares her down. The girls turn out to be fodder as they're already knocked out. Ayaka now embodies flames as she promises that the boy doesn't need to worry as she'll save him. May tries to get her to stop, warning she'll bite his neck off. The girl was sure Ayaka was only after the white stuff in his body, but she's actually attached to him. As she goes to kill him, her body bursts into flames, but the flames don't burn him. As Ayaka is about to attack May, the girl turns to Gu as she makes a strategic retreat. When Takamiya wakes up, he's back at Kagari's special place. When he wakes up to see Ayaka at her usual spot, she tells him that she never wanted to tell him the truth. But since he's being chased by the witches of the tower, this might be for the best. There turns out to be a mastermind behind all of this, who hopes to steal Takamiya's happiness, but she doesn't know who this person is. Takamiya no longer wants to be unable to protect himself and to see the girl he likes being hurt. So he determinedly asked Ayaka to teach him magic and to be her apprentice. At a maid cafe in town, 2 businesswomen with company mascots have brunch. Each of them has eccentric tastes. The 2 old friends discuss the recent events of the witches of the tower and the followers of Medusa. At home, Takamiya is creating wooden animals. He is interrupted by his sister, who says he's received a call from a girl. Later that day, he's checking himself in the mirror as he's about to go on a date. This being with the top beauty of the school. He calms down, as he knows this meeting is mainly because of his declaration to fight the witches. As they walk, the girl is as aloof as always, not telling him where they're going. But she decides to talk, explaining why the girls called her the crafting witch. As there are 2 types of witches in the world, the crafter creates workshops in town where people gather. The mission of the crafter is to protect the world, managing the use of magic so it doesn't be misused in town. The second type of witch is known for using magic selfishly, the witches of the tower. The goal of these witches is unknown, but they don't mind causing chaos for their goals. The two go to the same cafe as the other witches from earlier. Takamiya doesn't know what to order, as everything sounds like a spell. He picks randomly and gets something he doesn't want. A young girl calls out to the princess. With the stomping of every foot, you can hear the weight of her burden. The woman crashes on their table. The impact freezes Takamiya's ice cream sundae. Ayaka is annoyed by the girl as her melons are bigger than hers. Takamiya recognizes this girl as the vice president of the student council, but Ayaka acts like she doesn't know the girl. The two leave, and like every man on a date, he ends up holding all the bags. At the mall, a young girl is crying because she lost her mommy. Another leans down to comfort her, then calls out to the crowd, asking if anyone lost a child. Takamiya finds the scene heartwarming, as he's wondering how Ayaka would handle the situation. The kind girl then turns sinister as she has a crudely wanted poster of Takamiya, slapping away the child to get the bounty in front of her. She lunges at him with a sharp red blade at his neck. Two girls walk up to her with their own items, but once they are told Ayaka is a crafting witch, they flip a switch, ready to attack. One is a furry who specializes in a talisman who wields curved scissor blades, while the other one is a sexy bikini babe. But they are all blown away by Ayaka flames. The child is about to be cut by the scissors, but is saved by Takamiya. The two girls are shown to be unconscious. The one who started attacking doesn't seem to want to stop. She summons crimson dual pistols and starts to open fire on the two. Luckily, the red cap Ayaka wears is bulletproof, shielding them from the girl. Eventually, the girl runs out of bullets, and when she reaches for her blade, Ayaka is able to heat the temperature of the blade. This burns her hand, making her turn back to Ayaka in shock. Almost as a show, she releases the bullets she caught. This show-off power scares the girl. Ayaka shifts her hand in the shape of a gun. This action frightens the girl. Bang! And the three girls are blown away by an explosion. The main girl instructs the other girls that they are leaving. One girl is confused, telling her to go fight her again. The girl reminds the two of them that they were knocked out in one hit. The three escape, and Ayaka returns the little girl to her mother. Meanwhile, the five witches from school go out for karaoke. On the walk home, Ayaka decides that Takamiya is too defensive, so she agrees to teach him magic. This conflict will not end until Chromomark is defeated. If not ended soon, this could lead to all-out war between the factions. Takamiya stops walking to ask her a question as to why Ayaka isn't dealing with him. As the witches of the tower want his white stuff, why doesn't she do something? She smacks his head, as he has nothing to worry about. Later, the two head to the office of the chairman, being Ayaka's mother. She first scolds her daughter for causing a problem at the shopping mall, as she now has to pay for the damages. Takamiya tries to come to the defense of Ayaka, but the mother tells him this is the proper procedure since she's now his master, welcoming him to the workshop. Ayaka is confronted by the witches of the towers as they exclaim that today is the day they will defeat her, and take Takamiya to get his white special sauce. Ayaka looks as emotionless as ever, telling the boy to stay put as she takes out the trash. The nervous girl beside Tanpopo doesn't like their chances, asking if she's sure. Tanpopo is annoyed that her friend still doubts her, as they held a strategy meeting just for this purpose. The cat girl blurts out that it won't be like last time, calling out the name of their attack rapid stream. As the girls charge for her, Ayaka turns around, and when she shoots her broom, an explosion is able to blast the three of them away like a team rocket. Takamiya's sweat drops as he can't get used to how fast these fights end. At school, hundreds of students crowd around Ayaka's locker, whispering why this guy gets to stand so close to the princess. Takamiya still didn't see them getting ambushed first thing in the morning. Ayaka, like always, doesn't pay any mind to the crowd as if they weren't there. Takamiya is shocked no one dropped a love letter into her locker. When he goes to open his, he's knocked to the ground by the sheer amount of hate mail inside. When Takamiya wakes up to see what type of messages he received, he's disturbed by the sheet's dislike of the others. As they walk, he monologues about his daily life with the princess. As the girl is given constant praise for existing, Ayaka connects their desk and drops a large amount of books on his desk. She calls it a part of his training as he's a poor student, and she wishes to fix that over the school break. Shifting her glasses for dramatic effect, Takamiya reads the algebra book, wondering how he's going to understand this. Ayaka checks to see what he's having a hard time understanding. He stares at the girl, smelling her sweet fragrance. As he's thinking about her lips, the students behind him click their tongues as he feels a gloomy aura. Ayaka wishes to pair up with Takamiya in PE, as today the class will play tennis. Takamiya is shy around the idea because of all the negative attention, but the teacher is fine with the two playing doubles together. Takamiya blushes as Ayaka tells him this is a part of his training. Ayaka is a natural-born athlete and has her serves get aces on almost every attempt, with her swings creating winning drives. Takamiya shows that he's not rather athletic, as he's panting to get air. Ayaka picks him up and pushes him closer to her chest. Ayaka then starts to teach him how to play, much to the annoyance of the class. The class is dismissed, as the school is on break. Takamiya is disheartened that the girl has to put so much effort into someone like him who's not gifted academically or athletically. The two walk home, bringing Takamiya out of his internal thoughts. Much to his shock, the two aren't starting his training. Ayaka pats his head, telling him to be patient when the boy questions her on the topic. She informs him that today took a lot out of her as she's tired. On the bus, the two are left alone, where Ayaka informs him that the academy is famous for the witches it produces. This is surprising to the boy, but it would explain why the chairman allow her to make the school her hideout. Ayaka looks at the display that shows the bus route. She gets up when the card reads a dead end. Knowing something is wrong, she turns to the back to see the woman from the maid cafe and her mascot friend. The mood shifts as the air in the room is heavy and the lights go out. Takamiya tries to see what's the problem, only for Ayaka to roughly tell him not to look. The woman gets up remembering when her teacher explained to her that human life is like cake. Sometimes it tastes like strawberry, other times chocolate. She introduces herself as Tower Witch, Chronoir Schwartz 6. Ayaka tries to defend against her attacks, only to have her movement stopped by a remote the girl has. Chronoir explains that this was built to counter movement, as she extracted the iron necessary from an oceanic drill site. The atmosphere around the site shifts more and more like the site you would see underwater, with aquatic elements floating around. With another press of her button, Ayaka explodes. Much to Chronoir's shock, the girl doesn't have a scratch on her. Takamiya jumps in front of Ayaka protectively, saying he won't let her be hurt anymore. Chronoir calls the attempt admirable but pointless, as she plans to slice the girl's stomach and maybe pierce her heart. Atlas, even if she did this, the girl wouldn't even die. Chronoir smiles as she next does something the boy wasn't expecting. She stabs him with a dagger. Takamiya screams, kneeling and clutching his stomach. The woman uncaringly asks him if he's hurt while cleaning off the blood. As soon as she's done saying this, he stops crying as he sees the wound look as if it were never there. He's confused, but in the next moment, Ayaka drops to the ground. When he goes to check what's wrong with her, Chronoir tells him to check her wound. To his shock, it's the same one he just received. She explains the technique is called damage transfer. As she's unable to hurt Ayaka directly, she can receive pain from whatever injury she gives Takamiya. The mascot grabs him, holding him high to where his feet are dangling. As she explains the technique further, he yells at her to save Ayaka. She coldly tells him to shut up and listen, or else the girl will die. Ayaka is borrowing Takamiya's power, which is why it seems that she's invincible, as the two are bound by contract. If he wishes to save her, he's going to need to give her more mana. The woman brings out a dark spherical ball with an ominous aura. She tells him to eat it. The ball will allow him to use his powers as they would be unlocked. Takamiya is worried, as Ayaka warned him that if the Tower Witches acquired him, it could spell doom for the rest of the world. Chronoir agrees that this is a possibility, but she doesn't give a damn about the rest of the world. She predicts that no matter what happens, he'll eventually take this medicine. She puts it on the tips of her mouth and looks seductive at him. To make it more enjoyable for him, she'll give him his first kiss. Ayaka burns the candy as she can't allow this woman to steal his first kiss, as that belongs to her. Takamiya is at the point of tears, as he's desperate to know why the girl goes so far for him. Ayaka is on the verge of passing out, but tells him that she's fine. Grabbing his face, she asks for a favor. Ayaka's body starts to glow with green tattoos. She tells him that all he needs to do is keep thinking about her, and she'll be happy. She explodes in a burst of green fire. Visually looking much different, Chronoir is amused by her unleashing all her power now, but decides that it's time to go, as her barrier will wear out any minute. She calls the scene around them beautiful, as the entire bus is covered in a sea of green fire. When Takamiya wakes up, he sees that he's back at the bus stop. When he looks at Ayaka, she's unconscious. He brings her back to the school to receive medical attention. While resting by her bed, he feels something in his pockets. He checks to see a small candy. He remembers what the Tower Witch told him about the candy. He is tempted to eat it right then, but puts it away on his desk for later. When Ayaka finishes recovering, the two start his magic training in the school gymnasium. Takamiya thanks her for the training, but is a little embarrassed wearing the same wizard outfit as her. Ayaka brings out a camera and quickly takes pictures. She apologizes as she couldn't resist. She feels like a mommy bird watching her child grow up. Takamiya yells at her to take the training seriously, and she assures him that she's doing so. With the first being proper cape control, instructing him to start jumping. He's confused, but she tells him to begin. He lightly jumps, but she tells him he's doing it wrong. She puts him in a superhero stance and tells him to jump as if he wishes to burst through the ceiling. Ayaka blows the whistle, and Takamiya bolts running. When it's time to jump, he's able to jump over Ayaka. He's so high, the mother bird is annoyed. He's caught by Ayaka as he panics as he can't land. She tells him that if he still doesn't understand yet, then try embracing her. His face heats up. She calms him down as she realizes she misspoke. She wants him to try holding her. Takamiya is greatly embarrassed by their positions, but eventually calms down. Takamiya frantically worries about her health as the girl is much too light. In the hallway, the original transfer students yell at the witches from the mall, wondering why they're here. The main girl laughs as she says, Takamiya will be Hoshiguma's. Back in the gym, Takamiya is impressed once she summons a broom. She informs him on the activation skills as each robe is equipped with a broom. Takamiya is pumped up to try back, but after several attempts, he's unable to summon a broom. She tries to cheer him up as he's still learning. An alarm rings as she looks at the time on her cat clock. The door opens to show a club of students as she was only able to reserve the room for an hour. Takamiya is embarrassed, as now the students will see him in his wizard outfit. But much to his shock, the students walk right past them. There's a spell on their clothes that makes them invincible to the non-magic world. Walking in the city, she asks Takamiya if he's afraid of heights. The boy says he isn't, asking why. Without warning, she picks him up, princess style, and runs at astonishing speeds. She pulls out her broom, and the two fly outside the school. While he's screaming, the girl pulls him closer to calm him down. While pulling off complicated maneuvers, she reminds him that he'll be flying a broom of his own soon, revealing that there's only 5 students in the school that are supposed to protect the city. After training, the two wizards watch the sunset together. On the way home, Takamiya stops Ayaka as a student looks to be getting bullied by 3.5 girls. As he's instructing her to go down there and save the girl, Ayaka corrects him, as there seemed to be a misunderstanding with their job. The task of protecting the common people is beneath them as they deal with more important tasks dealing with magic, as that's a job for the police. The two get into an argument as Ayaka promptly ignores her female classmate. Takamiya can't just ignore a classmate in need and decides to take care of the matter by himself if she won't help. Out of determination, he's able to summon his broom, and he tries to fly away. But he quickly falls, unable to fly yet. Ayaka takes a moment, but recognizes that he's unable to fly yet, so instructs him to calm his mind of all distractions. Ayaka is about to step in, but at the last second, Takamiya is able to concentrate, stopping all the broom's momentum. Meanwhile, with the girl, she's being mugged, with the girl threateningly pointing a knife. In a puff of smoke, Takamiya crashes into the girls. This knocks them back in confusion, but they quickly adjust, with the man-girl taking a seat on him. From his outfit, the girls correctly assume he's a cosplay, but before they can do anything, an ominous aura of fire shadows them. The girls are unaware of anything until it's too late. As Takamiya thought Ayaka changed her stance on helping people, she says this was a trap by witches, as they knew his personality. Takamiya doesn't believe this. At school, the girl from yesterday tries to tell her friend what happened to her, but the other girl doesn't believe her. Underground, in a dimly lit laboratory, scientists talk about the woman inside the monolith. Her jail guards, soldiers, can't help but wonder why she's under such strict security. A squad of guards is always keeping an eye on her. With great urgency, the elder of the two informs his subordinate that if she manages to escape, it will be the end of the world. This woman has been here longer than the last warden. At least that is what the warden Rottenberg told him. One of the guards freaks out when the woman grins suddenly. The lady unties herself before the elder guy can comfort him. The girls from the transfer school are sitting in the cafe looking dejected. Tanpopo assaulted Ayaka with enough force to puncture her. demonstrating her unable to get over their tragedy. Since the girl is composed of fire, Kana gives her a gentle reprimand, saying that this wasn't a smart idea. Mei can't help but be envious of her attractive appearance and knowledge. She sobs because all she wants is to experience her once. The group's bashful girl chooses to speak, and as this is unusual, everyone naturally becomes silent to hear her insightful advice. She feels that they need to abandon their battle with the witch. Her comrades are incensed by this, as none of them could imagine a life without battling the Ayaka. Rin begins to stutter and answer as her confidence wanes. Mei is able to comprehend her pause, and Rin is attempting to convince her that Takamiya would be simpler to apprehend than Ayaka. The five decide to seize Takamiya and rise up with renewed determination. Tanpopo discovers that Takamiya and Ayaka are never alone, and that it is difficult to corner Takamiya on your own. Crenoir interrupts the five to make her introductions. The morning Takamiya is woken up by his alarm clock. Takamiya walks down the hallway, still exhausted. In the kitchen, he sees his ditzy mother preparing breakfast, while his younger sister just finished in the bathroom. His little sister notices his bed hair and decides to help. She tells him that he has no need to thank her, as she has been meaning to talk to him. Kasumi remembers that he received a call last Sunday from a girl, as the girl on the phone didn't give her name. She was wondering who she might be. Takamiya tenses up as Kasumi has a known brother complex. Takamiya tries to disguise his meeting with Ayaka as just exchanging notes, but Kasumi sees through the lie. Kasumi continues to cheerfully interrogate her brother. Her atmosphere darkens, putting a comb to his neck. It feels like a razor blade to the throat, bluntly asking if Princess is the girl he went to see. Takamiya spits the water he just had in his mouth, shocked she guessed correctly. Kasumi reminds him that the two go to the same school, so naturally she heard the rumors. The boy rapidly begins to speak, not wanting his sister to get mad, and explains it's all a coincidence since they sit next to each other in class. With a sly smile, Kasumi gestures to her air dryer, indicating the settings since it can catch fire. She becomes serious as she seeks to understand her brothers and the princess's actual connection. As the girl pursues them, Kasumi teases her by wriggling her hips suggestively, revealing that she knows the truth. It reminds him of the females they battled with in the mall that day. Kasumi turns to give him a final meaningful look before their mother summons them downstairs for breakfast, alerting him that she would be in his room this evening, causing Takamiya to close. The two of them head to school, and he can't help but worry, because he has to hide this from his family now. The mechanized bunnies trip him up as he makes his way to school, observing Tanpopo, the cat girl, with a smile on her face. The flaming witch is surrounded by the other females in a quiet alleyway. As Ayaka tries to appreciate the girl's attractiveness, she knocks Mei's hand away. Mei tells the girl that although she appreciates her attitude, Takamiya is still unable to wield magic. The trio charges in for an attack as Mei whips out her wand, which transforms into a whip. While Tanpopo gloats that her allies should be surrounding the unstoppable Ayaka right now, Takamiya finds herself in a precarious situation. Crenoir glances at her students as they lay out the strategy in a pitch-black, gloomy chamber. They emphasize that while Ayaka could be unbeatable, Takamiya isn't. Furthermore, the technique that harms Takamiya also harms Ayaka. The girls are having so much fun with their chess piece that they are wondering why their seniors aren't playing too. Crenoir reveals that she needs time to heal because she lost a lot of mana in her previous bout with Ayaka. She also doesn't want to show any affiliation with their master, Medusa. The other girls understand but show little reaction, while Crenoir is depressed as she feels Medusa pampers them too much. Back in the present, Tanpopo turns to depart. Like a good white knight, he swears that he will not allow Ayaka be injured, attempting to persuade her that he is the one she is pursuing. Tanpopo tells them that they will after taking revenge on Ayaka. But just as she's ready to go away, the bunny guards are knocked down, and a giant teddy bear approaches them. At the top, they see another witch, Kasumi. Tanpopo discloses that Kasumi is a witch from the workshop and warns her not to be overconfident since she can equal her size. One of her toy bunnies grows to the same size as her bear. The two fight in the city with their mech, Godzilla. Meanwhile, the other witches are turned away from a restaurant due to a stringent no llamas policy. The group is upset and wishes to talk with the woman's manager. Behind them, the two continue their wrestling fight, unconcerned about the damage they're causing. Tanpopo's rabbit plays dirty, delivering a karate chop to the bear's neck. Kasumi counters with an uppercut. But just when Kasumi feels she has an edge, Rin's dinosaur attacks her from behind. Kasumi grins, claiming that her life's objective is larger. Kasumi's bear develops to unreachable proportions. She tightens her grip, knowing her purpose is to defend her older brother and the city she lives in. Stomping both of them, inflicting a massive amount of property damage, Kasumi scoops up her brother, demonstrating that she has been the one safeguarding him when Princess is not there. Takamiya cuts her off, asking that they go save Ayaka, but she refuses, claiming that the princess was always safe. Takamiya goes up to her, weeping, and sees that she is fine. Ayaka is astonished by Takamiya's concern for her. This enrages Kasumi, who could hardly extract a thank you from the youngster. Kasumi goes into overprotective sister mode, scolding Ayaka for taking up so much of Takamiya's time. Kasumi interrupts her diatribe to send a message to Ayaka, as the director reports that around 30 tower witches are in the city, so this can only spell doom for them. Ayaka isn't even paying attention to Kasumi. She massages Takamiya's face gently, explaining that she never imagined she'd be lonely for being a little late to visit him. So, for the time being, she swears to guard him 24/7, pressing in closer. I'd like to move in with her right away. The two siblings are dumbfounded and humiliated by the implications of this. Ayaka interprets their quiet as uncertainty and proposes that they find an apartment together if he doesn't like the concept. The top squad limps home when their way is blocked by the alligator mascot who awaits them. The females believe he wants to fight. The mascot dispatches them all quickly, returning them to Cronoir. Cronoir realizes her idea was a mistake since the girls are too weak to confront Ayaka. So she had her mascot bring all 30 tower witches to her while she devised another method. The director then learns that Medusa has escaped her jail and is on their way.